Welcome, everybody, to Sunnybrook's Roundtable. Thank you so much for joining us today. I'm Terry Brunn, the principal of Sunnybrook School.
Hello, everyone. I'm Tanya Lowe. I'm the vice principal and the director of admissions at Sunnybrook School, and I will be the moderator tonight with our wonderful panel of parents. So let me just introduce each of them to you, and they'll give you a wave. We have Shipra Vias, who has a daughter in grade 3. We also have Andrew Shen, who has a son who is in JK. We have Sabah Hamid, who has 2 children, 2 sons, one in grade 2 and one in grade 6. And we also have on the panel Chris Tashima, who is currently on call, but may be able to pop in and join us later. And he has 2 children in JK and grade 3. So welcome everyone to our roundtable. And I will begin with our first question, which everyone will have an opportunity to answer. And the question is, if you were to introduce the school to someone, what is the first thing you tell them about Sunnybrook? And we'll begin with Shipra.
Sure. So I always say, whenever I'm asked about Sunnybrook School, I always mention that Sunnybrook is a small co-ed school that I find strikes the perfect balance between what I have found to be rigorous academics on one side, but a really fun and vibrant school environment for young kids. Um, and by this, I mean, I always make it a point to mention that it is a school, it's an IB school that is focused on elementary education, which I absolutely love. And so the schoolwork really challenges young minds, but it does so in a really intimate, in a very supportive environment. And I've found this to be a really good balance for the kids. But I always end off by saying the most important thing that I've found about Sunnybrook School is that it's a very special, close-knit community of teachers, of staff, of students, of parents who all sort of come together to create a really cheerful and a very nurturing environment for kids. And the combination of what I've mentioned, sort of the schoolwork, but the environment and the community, I've found to be a really special place where kids can thrive, especially for those early years education, and start really their academic journeys.
Okay, thank you, Shipra. I'll pass it to Andrew to add on to that.
Sure, yeah. I don't think it can be stated enough how strong of a sense of community there is. That's probably the first thing that I'd say about Sunnybrook. I'm a new parent and I've been, visiting the school more, going to curriculum nights, school events, those sorts of things, picking up my son from aftercare. And I think that it's really clear and evident how much the community cares about the success of all of its students. And when I say that, I mean there are teachers that aren't Damien's teacher that know his name. They're watching out for him, making sure that he's, supported in every way, shape, or form. And then there's also older students that are, playing with him, teaching him the rules of soccer and tag. And it's just a great community feeling. And I think that it's really been the main thing that stood out to me the most and has made me feel like I've set my son up for success at Sunnybrook.
Thank you, Andrew. Sava, I'll pass it on to you.
So between Shipra and Andrew, we've said how wonderful the community of the school is, and there's just no getting around that. It's just the most lovely community of people. But I will like to say that we have the best faculty that you would ever find. The most amazing, most dedicated group of teachers. We've been there from junior kindergarten all the way to grade 6 now. And every year has just been such a pleasant experience, such amazing teachers, such great relationships. I think that really sets Sunnybrook apart as well.
Amazing. Thank you, Saba. All right. Question 2 is going to be just for Shipra. What has the highlight of your experience so far been with Sunnybrook?
So this is our third year at Sunnybrook, and every year I continue to be blown away by how much our daughter has been exposed to. It's a jam-packed year. Besides just schoolwork, how many other things she's either involved with or, as I mentioned, exposed to. So whether it's in sports, cross country, track and field, choir, various clubs, the music program, variety of guest speakers, author visits. So it feels like a jam-packed year where every week there's something that she feels like is the highlight of her school week. But if I had to pick one thing, which I feel like you guys know what I would be saying, for me, it is the end of the year school musical. As I mentioned before, I feel like it's a very busy school year with where they're doing so much. There's so much schoolwork that's packed in, and then the school ends off on a big bang, which I absolutely love. And it's just really phenomenal to see all the teachers, the staff, the principal, Ms. Braun, but even the parents get involved to put together this production, which is quite lovely. And in particular, the students who take so much ownership over the school musical. So they're involved in the performances, of course, but also the production and the props, and they're feeling really excited about it. They bring it home, that energy. And it's a really great vibe throughout the end of the school year. And so I kind of feel like the school year every year ends off on this high note. So that I think continues to be my highlight. Each year, I think it might be something different, but it always comes back to the musical. And it's just nice because I think it's a really great example of how it's one example of how the school continues to work together throughout the school year. And sort of all the learnings that they've taken throughout the school year, they apply it to the musical. So whether it's teamwork or performance or whatever else it is, you kind of see that at the very end.
Thank you, Shipra. As you know, it's near and dear to our heart as well.
Yes.
All right, thank you. The next question is going to ask Andrew to begin, and then Saba will add after. But what were your considerations in choosing Sunnybrook for your child, knowing that Sunnybrook is a smaller school?
Yeah, I think I had a long list of considerations when I first started, and some of them became more when I started looking for a school for my son, and some of them became more important, some of them became less important, and some of them I learned along the way. I think Sunnybrook is a small school, and I think that one of the important things to me and my partner was that to have a good ratio of teacher to students. I think there's a lot of attention and care that goes into the class sizes and the way that the teachers interact with the students. And so Damien being somewhat quieter, I guess, in certain circumstances, I thought it was really important for him to have somebody that was going to, try to get information out of him or talk to him a little bit more, even though he was a bit on the quieter side. I think another thing we're looking for was that sense of community, which I've already touched on. A place where there's a lot of emphasis on partnership with teachers in terms of helping your kids learn and develop, and making sure that we're all working towards the same goal together. I think one thing that I learned, I guess, later on that I wasn't looking for at the beginning was this sense of cultural fit. It's something that I never really understood until I started visiting different schools. And as a small school, Sunnybrook just felt right when I visited. And so you could see with the way that students were learning, interacting with teachers, the way that they were doing that, as opposed to, and there's nothing wrong with this, but there are more rigid styles, more flexible styles. And I think that was something that was important to us later on. Another thing is Sunnybrook has a really diverse student population, which is really important to me and my partner. We live in Toronto. It's a diverse city, and I wanted to make sure that the school that my kids attended reflected that sort of diverse city within the student population. Apart from that, we also looked for an IB school, which I think is academically rigorous, but also helps, I think, kids engage with the learning materials in a particular way that makes them love to learn. And then in addition to that, my partner was really intent on finding a school that focused on French, and Damien gets to have French class every day, which is a really nice plus.
Thank you, Andrew. All right, Saba, what were your considerations in choosing a small school?
All of Andrew's. All of Andrew's. Yeah, I think I would just add on to that. It really was everything Andrew said. We were also looking for something that wasn't overwhelming, especially with our first guy. You know, new parents going into junior kindergarten is such a big feeling, and so we wanted an environment that was kind to him, but also kind to us. And then we appreciated the consistency in the grades. Like, you know, the kids are able to make good friends because they are going through the grades together, but that also means the families are making good friends with each other. You know, again, as I said, being here from junior kindergarten all the way to grade 6, some of our closest friends are the kids, the families that are with us, have been with us for the past 8 years. And then touching on the point about attention, the level of attention the kids get here, emotionally and academically, but importantly, emotionally, that's just not feasible in a large school environment. That's just a kudos to the amazing teachers we have, but it is something that was important to us. That's still important to us, especially with our younger guy going through the school as well. And it gives kids a really good opportunity. More reserved kids have opportunities to really build up their confidence. My older guy is generally a more reserved child, and he's really opened up through the years he's been there, just because it's very comfortable for him, and he's got, you know, a support system that's consistently been around him, teachers that are familiar, friends that are familiar, and to that fact, even parents that are around that are familiar. So it's that was a huge part of us bringing our second into the school as well. It's been such a lovely fit.
Wonderful. Thank you, Saba. And I'm going to actually continue with you for the next question. From your perspective, how does Sunnybrook balance academics with creativity and exploration?
Yeah, so with Sunnybrook's IB program, the learning concepts and they're all sort of intertwined. So fun and creativity is all part of academics. There's the research and project work that the students carry out, and they're all done in really enjoyable ways. There's lots of field trips the kids go on that are loads of fun, and they connect back to the schoolwork. And outside of just academics, there's you know, Shipra mentioned the school play, which is a huge part of Sunnybrook's program. It engages every student from grade 1 all the way to grade 6, from conception of the play all the way to execution. And it's, you know, it's a huge part of the Sunnybrook experience for all the students. There's lots of clubs, there's lots of sports teams, there's so much variety for kids with lots of different interests. Just as an example, my younger son did sewing club last year and loved it. And it's just become one of his favorite hobbies now. I have a sewing kit sitting on my dining room table. My older guy has been in Model UN for the past couple of years, and it's been such a great experience for him, just to help him with his speaking and his presentation skills. And he's just really taken to the leadership roles that he's been able to take on in, you know, grade 5s and grade 6s, grade 5 and grade 6. And so all that to say, there's no shortage of opportunities for children who are looking to learn, who are looking to discover new interests, who are looking to have fun. There is so much available. And it's lovely how there are connections between each thing, from academics to sports and the different programming that you offer. So there's just a plethora of things available.
Thank you, Saba. That's wonderful. All right, the next question is going to go to Shipra first and then to Andrew after. Could you describe the school's communication with the parents?
Yeah, for sure. At Sunnybrook, I think the parents, we are very, very lucky to have really proactive communications from the school. And there's a couple of different things that come to mind, but I think first and foremost, I think of just the ease of access to teachers, administration, to staff, and especially when you need it the most. I mean, throughout the school year, if there are any challenges, hiccups, questions, advice, it's just extremely reassuring to know that you're going to have a teacher that gets back to you super quick or just as you need it. So I would say that. But also, I find that the school is extremely thoughtful about what they're communicating and when, which has been really helpful. So they do this through a variety of different ways. As a parent, I've really come to rely on the weekly emails from teachers. And this is really an email to say, this is what the class has done this week, and this is how best to prepare for the following week, which I absolutely love. And as soon as summer hits and I sort of fall apart thinking I need teacher to put my life back together. But that's really great. And it's also really great because you don't really have to hound your child to say, what did you do in school today? Because you know exactly what they've done, what they've been up to, and your questions can sort of riff off of that, or you could be a little bit more creative with engaging with your child. But besides that, we get Miss Brunn, so the principal's weekly updates, which is fantastic because you've got information about what your child's doing, but then you've got the larger context through the principal's emails of what are the upcoming events or what sort of information do I need to know. So it's nice to know where your child's fitting into the bigger school system. And then, of course, monthly updates, which I've really come to rely on. So they've got all the right links and they've got the right photos and, all of that. So I would say the communication is fantastic just to keep the parents in the loop, ensure there are no surprises, but mostly to keep us on track for our kids' sake as well. So we're a little bit spoiled, I think. We've got some good communications.
Okay, thank you, Shipra.
Can I add on to that?
Sure.
Can I just do a shout out to the website that Sunnybrook has, where all the lunch schedule is, the meeting schedule is, the game schedule for house games is. So you're never, like Shipra said, your life is always well planned out with all those dates. You're never missing anything. It's really helpful to have a really informed website.
Yeah, and Saba, do you think that the cherry on the cake is the Instagram account? So social, like the right
Oh,
use of social
Instagram
media,
account. Yes.
right? To say,
Yes.
oh, I
Follow
see
both
my
the
child.
school Instagram and the library Instagram
Yes.
account, which is so fun because it talks about all the library events that the kids do. Great.
Yeah.
Instagram account is great. Yeah.
And you know what? We know that, of course, parents love it, but it's crazy because grandparents love it almost more, where they're like, oh, my child's a celebrity. Look.
Oh, okay. Well, that's amazing. Andrew, anything to add on to that very thoughtful answer, but from
No,
maybe
I mean,
new family perspective?
no, I mean, I think Shipra and Saba covered it all. I would say as a new parent, um, the weekly emails that occur regularly, those have helped me keep on track and organized more than anyone could ever know. I would be very lost without them. Just things as simple as make sure you bring your tote bag on Tuesday for the JKs to go to library. I honestly, I just would not remember. So I'm super, super, super thankful for that. As somebody who has a more reserved child, I think that uh, just those weekly emails talking about what the class went over that week, what they did, and being able to engage with Damien with that context in mind is so helpful. Otherwise, I think it would be a bit more difficult. And frankly, he's one of those kids that you ask him how his day went, and he says, it was good. And so having that context and being able to work with the teachers, as I stated earlier, to sort of, you know, reinforce the things that he's learning has been really, really valuable.
All right, thank you, Andrew. The next question, Saba will answer first, followed by Shipra. And the question is, what benefits have you observed from your child experiencing the IB PYP program, and what future benefits do you anticipate?
So my kids, again, from junior kindergarten to grade 6 now, they have just really enjoyed the IB way of learning. It's an all-encompassing ideology. So I think they really like being able to see the big picture that's put out there, and then they really like breaking it down into the smaller components as they go through the work efforts. Students are really encouraged to be independent thinkers, ask a lot of questions, and then they're really encouraged to take responsibility for getting answers to those questions. Both my boys have developed a huge love for research as they've gone through their classes. Again, that encourages a lot of the independence and the ownership. On the other hand, there's also all the project work and the classwork that they do, which is very collaborative. And you have a responsibility to your teachers, you have a responsibility to your peer group and your team, doing the group work. So I think this all helps contribute to the positive environment of SBS. And it's really important to note that these are skills that students are not going to be just using in elementary school. They're going to use in high school. They're going to use in university, and also most likely in their professional environments. I would go so far as to say that these are foundational skills that they are going to use perhaps in their personal relationships as well. So with IB learning, the traits that you get, it's not just academic. It's very transferable into real life. That would be my perspective for IB learning.
Thank you, Saba. Shipra, anything to add?
Yeah, we were quite curious to see how the IB program would work for elementary education. We were familiar with it. My husband had done IB, and I think any kid who's been IB, it's always a bragging right. Somehow everyone knew he did IB in high school. But which is why we were particularly attracted to this, but then also didn't really know how it worked for elementary education. So it's been a very pleasant surprise to learn it with and through our child. The one thing that really stands out for me is, of course, children are naturally curious, and I love the way the IB program banks on this curiosity. So, sort of using that curiosity to make them into thinkers and then to make them into learners. And what I've loved about this is, of course, to see what my daughter is learning, but how she is learning to learn, if that makes sense. And it's exactly what Saba said, because there is, of course, the coursework, but you're really teaching them how to learn for later years education. So the foundational building blocks. And again, I think Saba touched on this a little, but what I've particularly loved, and sort of I'm thinking about the difference between my educational background and my daughter's, is I love the IB PYP program's 360 approach. So they've got these unit of inquiries, and they're learning about a particular subject matter through various means. So geography or science or language and arts, and it's all integrated. And what I've sort of reflected on in the last couple of years and thought is, in real life, we're not really compartmentalized by different subject matters. So it's great that they're learning everything from that 360 or like the full roundabout approach. And it's really cute because you kind of see that attitude or that way of learning that they bring home. So if they're thinking about something in their home life or while traveling or when they're learning about their culture, you will see them ask these questions, not just pertaining to one subject, but various things. And as much as we think, which we are great parents, I also know that a lot of that learning and sort of development that language is coming from school into her home life. So we've been really excited about the IB program.
Thank you so much, Shipra. All right, so to continue with our next question at the Sunnybrook Roundtable, I'm going to go to Andrew with the question of, could you describe the admissions process at Sunnybrook, and how did it impact your decision to send your child here?
Sure. So I think there are three main steps, I guess, in the admissions process that stood out to me, and I'll talk about how they impacted my decision or me and my partner's decision. So the first is there's an application process where you answer some really thoughtful questions about, um, well, my son or your children. Um, and I think that that had a major impact because it was the first application that I think that I had reviewed where the questions really forced me to think about how I viewed my child. It was a nice introspective sort of exercise where I got to think about, oh yeah, these are the things that like, the personality traits of my son that I really want to talk about and want to share. And so that was it really showed like how much Sunnybrook really wanted to get to know your kids as opposed to like, you know, just I guess a more generic application process, I suppose. The second piece was the parent interview and child assessment. I really liked that the child assessment, Miss Lowe, you took away, not took away, but like took Damien into another room to, go through activities with him and really get to know him as a kid. And I think that that leads into the third piece, which is that post-assessment discussion, where you gave me a call, I think it was a week later, and just talked about the activities that you went through with Damien, the things that you did. And for me, it really showed how thoughtful you were, and how thoughtful Sunnybrook would be. And in 30 minutes or an hour, I forget how long it was, um, you really honed in on like all of his personality traits, what the strengths that he had, some of the things that he needed to work on. And I was super impressed, to be able to ascertain that in 30 minutes to an hour is really impressive. And I think it was really a large part of why we decided to send uh, Damien to Sunnybrook. And so all I'll say is keep up the admissions process.
Well, thank you, Andrew. All right, the next question I'll go to Chris to begin and Saba to follow. What have you experienced while interacting with like the leadership team, the administration at Sunnybrook?
So SVS has an incredible and incredibly experienced and tenured leadership team. I think that is a huge benefit to the school. The leadership team obviously knows the school inside out, but they're also so good about taking feedback, about listening to opinions and listening to voices, and then making changes if and when something is needed. I really like the fact that, and I mentioned this in one of my previous answers, I really like the fact that everyone works so well together in the school, the leadership team, the faculty, like the admin, everyone works so well together. And that shows in your relationships and your interactions with each other. And you are always there. The team is always there to listen to parents. There's not a time where you don't make the effort or the time to talk to someone when they need feedback, assistance, information. So I can't say too many enough good about the leadership team, the admin, the faculty there. It's just fantastic.
Thank you, Saba. Okay, Chris, do you have anything to add to that?
Yeah, just that the leadership, yourself, Miss Brun, the teachers are the utmost professional, incredibly responsive in a timely fashion with our children. I'm always impressed with your personal connection to the kids and the way that you've responded to us. Any of my concerns have always been immediately addressed. You're always accessible. So I think again, it speaks to the close-knit, small nature of the school. But yeah, you guys are doing a great job. The school's extremely efficient and well run. So nothing but good things to say about the leadership team.
Thank you, Chris. I'm going to go back to Saba for a moment, just about technology and the use of technology at Sunnybrook and how the students are using that.
So technology at Sunnybrook is really encouraged as an aid. It's a learning tool. All the kids have access to it. And as they go through the grades and get into the higher grades, they really do leverage the tech that they have for things like independent work, research, doing their assignments. They're able to access class information now with Google, submit their homework, communicate with their teachers. And I think it really helps build that independence and responsibility, especially at the older ages as well. The younger kids have access to some really fun apps on their devices. Of course, the teachers monitor all of this. I know that there's a math app and a reading app that my kids used when they were younger. And every time they were able to bring their iPads home, it was the first thing they would go on, this little spaceship math thing. All the homework is assigned by the teachers, so it's not as if they're willy-nilly going on random things on their iPad. And what I really appreciate of the technology of our school, technology usage of our school, is the focus on responsibility. The kids all from JK onward, all the kids and parents signed that agreement right at the beginning of the year to talk about responsibility of use and responsibility of going online. You talk about it in curriculum night, it's always enforced. And so I really appreciate that right from the beginning, the children are taught to be responsible for the physical device, to take care of it, and also taught to be responsible about how to use the device online and access information. So I think, I think the staff and the admin do a really good job about making sure that everyone is safe using the technology that they have access to.
Thank you, Saba. All right, we're going to get down to our last two questions. First, we're going to, and I think this has been touched on, but I want to bring it back. And I'll ask Shipra to answer first as someone who's been in the school for a few years, and then Andrew's going to add after as a new parent to JK, but just describe the parent community at Sunnybrook.
Yeah, and we've used this term a couple of times, but it really applies here. The parent community is a very tight-knit network of people. Chris and Andrew have already mentioned, because of some of the smaller class sizes, not only do all the parents end up knowing each other, but really supporting each other. And just to add to that, not only do the parents know all the parents of their students' class, but you get to know parents throughout the school because of the intimate nature of the school. And I've particularly found that very, very helpful, not just to meet some of the parents of kids in older classes where I might need some advice about academics, but also parenting questions, or kind of have used them as resources. So I've loved that aspect of the parent network at Sunnybrook. But also just to add that Sunnybrook has a great parent association, and I might be a little bit biased because I'm a part of it, but a really, really lively parent association that does a really great job in enriching the school community and really focused on complementing the work that the teachers and staff are doing, but also the curriculum. So one of the things that I think, and especially when I was a first-time student, that I really appreciate, first-time parent, that I really appreciated was all the events that were put on. So whether it be evening socials for parents, a Jays game where all the families got together, or one of the best events, which is the end of the year spring fun fair. So an opportunity for parents to get to meet one another, and some of the newer parents to get to know what the school community is like.
Andrew, as a new family to the school, what has your experience been with the parent community?
Yeah, I think the thing that stands out for me the most is how welcoming the parent community is at Sunnybrook. It's only been a few weeks, but I actually think the spring event, sorry, Shipra, you said it earlier, the name is escaping me.
Fun
But
fair.
the fun fair, that's right. That was one of the first events that our family had attended. And even there, you could tell all the parents were talking to us about their experience at Sunnybrook, trying to figure out we were new junior kindergarten parents, and they were trying to figure out like who they could connect us with to talk about their experience. And so I think that the parent community is really good at sharing experience and sharing knowledge and making sure that everybody succeeds. And I think that that's so important. I'll sort of leave like a final anecdote that there's also we have a WhatsApp group for our class, and I think even there you can see parents are sharing photos, parents are talking about you know resources that you can look up, and it just is really nice to be surrounded by other parents that want to be involved and want to see all of the kids succeed. And sorry if there's background noise. There's the kids are getting ready.
Well, that's a good segue into our final question of the evening. What does your child or children say about Sunnybrook? So we'll have everyone have an opportunity to answer before we end. And Andrew, I'll start with you.
Sure. So this is actually a harder question for me. My son is one of those kids that comes home from school and you say like, "Hey, how was school today? What's going on?" And he goes, "Good. It was good." Um, and I think, we have a bit of a chat over dinner and dig a little bit deeper. And I think one of the things that's telling is we asked him, what did you do today? Who did you play with today? And try to get answers that way. And he always says everyone. And at first I was like, who is everyone? Trying to get some more information, but he really means everyone. It's grade sixes, grade fives, all the kids in his class. So I think it sort of, I'm sounding like a broken record here, but it speaks to that community and sense of belonging. And I think the more telling thing for my son, at least, is the way he talks about his day shows how he's engaged with the school, with what he's learning, whether it's talking about his house, or getting excited in terms of the new things that were in his classroom that day. And so I think I'll say that my child says everyone about Sunnybrook. But if I was going to pick a word, it would be thoughtful, I suppose. I think it's a special place, and I'm really happy we made the decision to send our son to Sunnybrook.
Thank you, Andrew. All right, Chris, what would your children say about Sunnybrook?
This is not a one word and like this is not what you're looking for, one word. This is more descriptive.
Yeah.
Yep.
Okay. I just want to clarify. Okay. Peyton, so my son in third grade, it's his happy place. It's the school year when he's going there is when he is most happy, most himself, most regulated, most organized. He's actually much prefers the time, it's kind of backwards. You would think as a kid, you look forward to summer holidays and to the time off school. For him, he most appreciates the time of year where he's at school, because that provides his identity. It provides where he gets to explore himself as an individual. So for him, it's his happy place above everything else in his world. It's his room. He loves his room and he loves going to school. So for Peyton, it's his happy place. My little guy in JK, he is really proud to be part of this now. And I see that in his excitement in the morning. I see that in his excitement as the weekend comes to an end. Again, the backwards way, the end of the weekend, he is excited for Monday morning and he's excited to put his uniform on and go back to Sunnybrook and to be with his friends. And yeah, I think he's just very, very proud to be part of this. And it's been inspiring. I think both kids feel like it is the best things that they have in their lives.
Thank you, Chris. Over to Shipra.
Over on our end, very similar. I think actions speak louder than words for our kids here. So now that this is our third year in the school, and what really stands out to me is there hasn't been a day that our daughter has wanted to stay at home. And I think that speaks volumes. Even days where, and Miss Brun, you'll remember this when Misha had pink eye, what she was most sad about was that her friends were going to miss her or she was going to miss choir. And I think that speaks volumes. So, not one word that I can think that Misha would say, but maybe a couple. Can I go to school on weekends? So, 8 words there.
Oh my goodness. Okay. Thank you, Shipra. And finally to Saba, what would your kids say?
What would my kids say? So I did ask my kids, and they did say, one said, SBS is where all my friends are. And the other one said, SBS has the best teachers. And as someone who has a kid in grade 6, and that kid is going to be leaving school as of June, I have to say we are so double-minded. We're so excited about the next phase, but we are so, so, so nervous because we've had such a beautiful experience here, and my older guy has just thrived and has loved every minute of it. And so, we can just pray that our next experience is half as lovely as Sunnybrook has been for us. It's just been such a blessing.
Well, thank you, Saba. I think that's a lovely note to end off on. And a huge thank you to our panel of parents for taking the time to help participate in this roundtable for our kids. We greatly appreciate it. Thank you and enjoy the rest of your evening.